everyone. Welcome back to the AIM Alumni Leadership Podcast Series Season 2. And for this season, we are featuring the 2025 AAA Awardees. This is CJ Sena of MBM 1988.
And Paula Balinas of MBA 2014.
Just like the previous episodes you've seen, this particular episode offers a wealth of insights and experiences from our esteemed guests from the roster of the AAA awardees of 2025.
And of course, for those of you who have not yet subscribed to our YouTube and Facebook page, for you to view all previous episodes and upcoming episodes, make sure you like and follow us in YouTube and Facebook.
And thank you for that reminder, Paula. And now we're going to introduce our episode's guests. Professor Dr. Mohammad Rafiqul Islam Talukdar is a distinguished academic and seasoned development expert. Currently serving as a professor at the American International University, Bangladesh, he has over 2 decades of experience in academia, research, and development project management. His career has been marked by impactful contributions to education, policy development, and governance in Bangladesh and beyond. In addition to his teaching roles, Dr. Talukdar has held key positions in several prominent institutions, among them the Bangladesh Institute of Governance and Development, BRAC University, where he led large-scale research projects funded by the World Bank and the Social Development Committee. He's also a distinguished fellow at SIMCARD Inc., that's in the Philippines, a research fellow at the Social Science Research Council of Bangladesh's Planning Ministry. He also served on significant development projects with UNDP and the European Commission's Asian Urbanization Program. His recent book, Post-Pandemic Talent Management Models in Knowledge Organizations, was published by IG Global and indexed in Scopus, gaining significant attention with academic and business circles. Friends, let us welcome Professor Dr. Mohammad Rafiqul Talukdar from MDM 2012. Hello, Dr. Talukdar, and welcome. Thank you for accepting the invitation to appear on the AIM Leadership Podcast Series, Episode 4.
Yes, thank you again, Dr. Talukdar. We're very much excited. Like what CJ highlighted earlier, it's the first time that we're doing it in person.
That's right.
And the first time we're inviting international guests,
It's
right?
a level up.
It's a level up.
It's a level up.
A quantum leap.
It's my pleasure. Thank you very much.
All right. First
All right.
question.
So maybe like we always do with all our guests, right? We'd like to understand your origin story. So out of the hundreds of business schools in the world, what made you decide to go to AIM?
Well, Asian Institute of Management is one of the best business school in the world, particularly in the context of Asian case studies. The institute used to the Asian case studies in particular, not the European and American. It's tailor-made case studies. And actually, that was a transition period. I served the World Bank funded government project, Bangladesh government project, as a team leader, Human Development Program. And then I also served the United Nations Development Program. And just I left the United Nations Development Program, there was a transition period. I decided myself to upscale my competence and then I got the scholarship from the full scholarship from the Stephen Joling Graduate School of Development Management. And I think it was a great decision for me because I learned lots of things from this university. It helped also to gain academic knowledge and also development, leadership, international development management competence. And I transformed there's a transformation of my professional career. Previously, I was full-fledgedly in the development organization, but I joined the BRAC University Institute of Governance Studies and then BRAC Institute of Governance and Development, where I designed and led 4 large-scale development projects and research projects. And also I served as a researcher. And I also used to teach the university. So there's a transition from the purely development field to development research project management as a researcher and also as a faculty member.
Okay.
So that was a great contribution of the Asian Institute of Management.
Okay. Still on a throw and down memory lane, was there any, while you were here in 2012, was there any project, professor, activity that made a memorable impact on you as a student?
the projects, I mentioned explicitly that there are 4 projects. One is for the performance management for the government of Bangladesh. I designed this project first time in Bangladesh, taking lessons from the developed country. And Brack University, I designed it on behalf of the Brack University, but the beneficiary of the project was the government. So that's a great contribution for the government of Bangladesh. And it helped to ensure the accountability of the government and governance system. And second project that was also important, that public procurement reform project. It was funded by the World Bank, and the partner was the Planning Ministry of the government of Bangladesh. And another project noted here that's local governance.
That's from post AIM, but when you were here in AIM,
No,
were there-
that was after my graduation.
but when you were here, were there other projects that or a professor that made a mark on you?
Yeah, we had a study on the economy in conflict area.
Okay.
We had an MRR. We had to prepare the MRR report. Beyond the MRR report, I did the MRR report actually in Bangladesh. The study I conducted in Bangladesh for the local governance policy development. We did not have local governance policy. Still, we did not have local governance policy. We have just laws. Different local government unit has different laws. And there are 4 local government units: Union Parishad, Upazila Parishad, Jila Parishad. These are in the rural area. In the urban area, city corporation and municipalities. But we don't have policy. That's why I conducted a study, policy research, under this MRR program, under the guidance of my late professor, Dean Mike Luce. He was my great professor, mentor.
Yeah, so it's pretty interesting, right? So it's the second time that we heard how impactful the MRR indeed is, right? And it goes to show that Dr. Talukdar has really leveraged on the lessons that he learned in creating that MRR and putting it into practice.
It's not just a piece of paper in the library.
Correct. Yeah.
So put it into action. Now, we were looking at all your accomplishments. Are there particular moments in your career journey that are, you would say, pivotal, that made things different for you?
In career journey, I mentioned that explicitly that before my graduation from the Asian Institute of Management, before MDM program, I served purely international development organization.
Yeah.
First of all, I was the program development officer of European Commission's Asian Urbanization Program. Later, I joined as a team leader of the World Bank Program Human Development of Bangladesh government. And later, I joined the United Nations Development Program. And when I left the UNDP, particularly, I got admitted in the Asian Institute of Management. After my graduation, I shifted to the academic and research area and also development research project management. After graduation, the career was more amusing. The freedom, in terms of freedom, the academic freedom I enjoyed much. And that's why I can speak. I do not require permission from the university to speak. But when I served the UNDP, it was restricted. I cannot speak. I cannot write without permission. But I cannot speak, I can write. So I enjoyed my academic career very much. And you asked me particularly the question you asked me, could you please repeat the question?
Is there any particular moment that was very pivotal to your growth?
Okay, there's a moment that I mentioned that after my graduation from the Asian Institute of Management, I decided I have to shift my career. I need the more freedom, not just the money. I need the freedom. And that's the academic freedom, because I know I have the academic ability. I used to write in the Daily Star, Tribune, that's in national English dailies, but I found difficulty in writing from the United Nations program. Every time I have to take the permission. So I decided to shift my career in the academic field in the university, both doing research, managing research projects, large-scale research projects, institutional projects, and that I was trained from the Asian Institute of Management because it's an international development management focus on and designing proposal and so on.
Let's bring it down to more introspective. So what do you think are the traits and habits that help you in your career growth?
Traits and habits, I never thought about it, but actually I do value for my integrity and also the quality of work. The assignment I take, I usually do not like to take assignments unless institution ask me, because once I take an assignment, I'm seriously concerned about the quality and reputation, institutional reputation, also my reputation. And most of my papers, I have 35 academic journal articles, most
Okay.
of them published internationally ranked journal. And that's why even in the assignment level, I'm in the institutional, any assignment, I do it seriously. The way I take care of my child, I take care of my assignments. That's one thing. And another thing is that I always concerned about the other side viewpoint and the institutional viewpoint, what the benefit for the institute and particularly young generation, the team members who worked under my leadership, and how to transform leadership to them. That's the thing I always concern.
Okay. That's a very interesting point.
Yeah, I mean, he highlighted, doing your best, giving the best quality that you can produce, and as well as putting yourself at the vantage points of others, right? How would you make an impact, right? What's interesting, Siege, when we were listening to Dr. Tulakdar, right, is we've heard a lot of our guests talk about the business corporate side, but I'm interested to hear from Dr. Tulakdar. We've heard about corporate challenges in the corporate setting, but particularly for the academic and developmental work, maybe you
That's
could
right.
share what challenges do you usually encounter in your field and how do you overcome these?
Challenges is inevitable because we are living and we are serving in a changing environment. There are external factors and also the internal factors. When we design a strategy, a plan, we have certain assumption. Based on certain assumption, we design it, we make this plan, but the environment are changing and there are internal issues that are changing. So we have to adapt with the change. That's one of the greatest challenges. Second challenge, particularly for the organizational development, change is inevitable. We need to go through a change process, and there is an inertia, unlikely, there's an inertia of organization, particularly. Nobody wants change, the existing management. There is a resistance in all organizations. It's theoretically valid, and also practically I observed there is a resistance from the certain level of management. It's not about the top management there is a scholar, it's called Henry Mintzberg, 1979 and 1981, he wrote an article and book on, there are 5 parts of organization. That on top it's called the strategic apex, then the middle line, there's the manager, and strategic apex actually, there's the leaders of the organization, and below the operating core, who mainly focus on the mainstream business of the organization, run the maintain. In the right part, they're supporting, actually backstop to run the operating code. And left side, there's a technostructure, technical backstopping. Basically, the strategic position, I work in strategic position. And for that reason, my day-to-day responsibility is not just teaching, it's also adding value to the institution, thinking about the future organization. And for that reason, we need to go through a change and development process, adding value to the institution. It's the part, that's why I'm joined here. It would add value to my institution also, not my personal career, also institution. I'm a professor of this University, American International University, Bangladesh, you mentioned. So university is associated. And in that case, I mentioned that when you go to the change process, the greatest challenge is the inertia of the organization. Always the top leaders, the strategic leaders, they appreciate the change process. But there's a middle management, there is a resistance in all organizations. They don't like to go through the radical changes. They want to go slowly and steadily. That's a great challenge.
Yeah, so it doesn't happen overnight, right?
Yeah.
It's a process.
You need to strategically adopt. Either you need to communicate, keep in touch with the senior management. You need good relationship building to overcome this challenge. If you have a good relation with the senior management, then middle management and other tiers of management and the followers all will cooperate you in terms of change process. There is a power associated with it. You cannot go without power structure support with the change process. It's difficult. Inertia of organization.
On that note about the corporate structure, what is important? IQ, intelligence quotient, or EQ, emotional quotient?
For me, I'm a development professional,
Yes.
particularly trained on the international development management. For me, even in the corporation, I think I teach in the business school.
Yes.
But I do appreciate and I am for the emotional intelligence, definitely. Emotional intelligence is important because if you understand, everyone understands their own interest, but if you do not understand other side's viewpoint and how it benefits to the society and how it will, its impact, if you do not have the impact concern, then actually this development will not sustain. So emotional intelligence is very much important. Understanding your point of view is very important, not just my point.
Empathy.
Empathy.
Empathetical viewpoint, not sympathy, empathetically understanding. That's the leadership trait, actually. Manager always think about, we don't have role. We don't have policy. Always that rule bound policy, that's the managers. But the leaders, actually, they create the policy, they build the policy. As long as it is appropriate for the organization, it will add value for the organization, leaders consider it empathetically. Very good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Our podcast is two generations' point of view. So we'll start off with the younger generation. The younger. The young.
The young and the younger.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So we've heard a lot of our previous guests talk about how to succeed in the corporate life, in the business entrepreneurial life. Since you've been heavily involved in the academic and developmental work, right? In that lens, in that field, based on your experience, what do you think are the key criterias and habits that successful people would have in your field?
For the young generation or
The young generation.
The young generation,
Okay.
advice that you give to them.
Okay, the young like you.
Yes.
Oh.
Younger and then young.
Okay. So it's for you or for you? It's
For him first.
For you, okay. For you, I think I considered that you are Gen Z, but you mentioned that you are not immediately people generation of Gen Z. Okay. For you, I think the always learning attitude is important because everything is changing and there's paradigm shift of the development policy, development philosophy, and the development norms. Also the corporate norms, and there is paradigms, different paradigms. Everything is new. And for that readiness to adapt with the changes, one thing, and flexibility is important. Flexibility is important both for you, also for the seniors as in management, and learning for pleasure, not for that it is imposed to me. This assignment is imposed to me, that's why I am doing. That's not a right attitude. I'm learning with this new assignment, even it is challenging, but there's an opportunity to learn. That attitude is important for the young generation in particular.
Learning is a theme.
Yeah, I think that's a common thread that we've been seeing,
Yeah.
right? Learning, and what was added by Dr. Talukdar was flexibility, right?
Yes, that's
We
right.
live in an ever-changing world, and being flexible enough to adjust based on that current environment that you are in. And maybe a follow-up question, right? So for young professionals, young individuals who would like to make an impact, right? You did mention about impact. What advice would you give to these individuals who would like to make an impact to the world in general?
For the young generation is the future, both for the country, both for the organization and for the world. And we actually do not require more talented people. We require more integrity concern and impact concern young generation, because young generation born with the technology, they're smart enough. And in 2019, when the COVID started, the Vice Chancellor decided to go virtually. I mean, from the next day, we had to run virtual classes. And being a professor, I felt threat, that challenge, how to run this course virtually. But I found my students, even the MBA students, they helped me in technical aspects. So technically, young generation are sound. There is no issue with the technical aspect. Only the impact concern about the future, so that the world is facing lots of challenges. There's a good people and the bad people in the world. That's a dilemma. That's why we require the courts, police. They're bad people. It's reality. And there's a good people who want to make the world beautiful, make the world great. So we need very impact concerned young people. And competence is a learning process. Over the time it will develop. It's a tacit knowledge. Professional knowledge is tacit knowledge. As long as you have a mindset up that I learn, you have the learning attitude, definitely over the time, within few years, the competence will grow up, and you are technically sound. There is no issue. So only thing is the impact concern and making a sustainably developed world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe last question before I hand it over to CJ. You did mention a lot about learning, right? The insatiable hunger to learn. Are there any books in particular that you would recommend our audience to read?
Well, Peter Drucker is the Western scholar. 1993 wrote a book. He set a hypothesis basically. The next world would neither be capitalist nor be socialist. It would be like the organizational centric. An organization would be more specialized organization. And if you want to achieve anything, you can achieve individually, but that in a limited scale. But if you go through an organized process, associate with the association, then more likely you will get succeeded soon, and the picture would be bigger. Third pictures. So this book is recommended because it was written in 93, and by 2000 the hypothesis is proved it's appropriate. And also beyond this, I recommend that the one space by the iPhones courtesy of the mother company of iPhone Apple, that Steve Jobs, that connecting the dots. So we need to connect the young generation in particular, need to create the networks, but you will not get benefit from the networks immediately. Once you create it, you will not get benefit. After 10 years, 12 years, you can connect the dots. So it's very important, the world we are living now. Another book I, of course, mentioned, there's Three Questions. Probably it is written by Count Lew Tolstoy. Three Questions is important because sometimes I find, oh, we'll do it later on, not right now. And sometimes conflicts with other business. Then we got puzzled and stressed. So this is the solution. The book mentioned which work is important to you. The work I'm doing now, the interview, is most important. Even I have conflict with my conference. I have a conference right now at 5 p.m. But I schedule this. This is important. Most of I don't take stress. I have to trade off. It's a trade-off decision. So the work before me is the most important one. And this is the right time to work. Which time is the important? This is the right time, not later. This is the time. And who is important? You are important. With whom I'm dealing, you are important to me, and the audience here is the important, I think. So most important. So this book, The Three Questions, is a short story. Probably it is written by Count Lew Tolstoy, the Russian author. Probably. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll definitely add that to my to-read list.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's 4 books already
Yes.
to add to your list. Okay, so the younger, now it's the young.
Okay.
Okay. What is your key advice to senior leaders, those who are retiring, about to retire, or, at the peak of their careers, in successfully navigating the new business world, whether it's multi-generational workforces, AI, digital technology, social media, hybrid working? What's your advice to them?
Well, they're also technically sound because the development in the world happened within the last 30 years. It exceeded the 300 years development due to technological advancement. And the generation you mentioned, this generation also technically sound. And integration of technical knowledge in the management and corporate management, also in development management, is very important and expedite the process. And the generation, there is no issue with the technology. I recommend the generation not just adopt with the technology, but also be champion to create something, come up with the new idea for the organization. They are in a position, neither they are the senior most, nor they are the younger. So they actually contribute significantly for the change in the organization, changing process in the organization. Their mindset up is important. And their mindset is supposed to be transformational leadership mindset up, so that young generation, they will be the boss, supervisor of the young generation, not the senior management. So their role is very important, the lens of transformational leadership or bridging leadership mindset up, because it's a tacit knowledge. Young people will learn through the internship process, through the doing work with the middle management. And that's a value to the organization to a great extent. Any project success, not just depend on the design. Design is senior leaders' business, but the implementation of the project depends on the generation. So the most managerial skill and agile management is very important, because you mentioned that hybrid.
Yes.
Because workforce is anywhere, anytime, sometime you have to work, even the office. send an email, I have to respond from here. I have to respond. I should not wait until I go back to the office like the old generation.
That's right.
Okay, okay,
That's
I'm not
right.
in office, I'm on leave. Yeah, anytime, real time, I respond.
So it's really an open-mindedness.
Open-mindedness,
Yes.
flexible. That's
And
called the
again, flexibility.
That's called the agility by agile management. And that's all I think.
Which brings me to another elephant in the room topic, which is succession planning. What are your thoughts on succession planning? Go ahead, it's a big smile.
Yes. Succession planning, retaining talent is very much important, and it is important than hiring fresh blood, hiring fresh talent. Retaining talent is important, but in reality, we cannot always retain talent. It's not possible. It's not feasible. People are growing old, so they will get retired, and sometimes the talented people, there is war for hiring talent. The old companies are looking for the talent. So sometimes strategic position, people who are living in the strategic effects level and the middle line, succession management for those only. Operating core, you do not require succession planning. Anytime you recruit the fresh people and younger people, and that's better. You do not require succession planning, only you get career plans only for the operating core. And you require even the technostructure and support staff, you do not require succession planning. Succession planning only required for the strategic apex and the middle line for the managers.
Yes.
And the strategic manager or the leaders. Because in particular leadership position, if the leader leave the organization, then you have to think someone alternative, you have to grow up in the organization. Instead of hiring new strategic leader, if you develop in your organization, then that would be better. So I do focus on the succession management because that's the reality. You cannot retain always the talented people in the organization.
Okay.
Okay.
Last three questions, and this is about legacy. With all the things you've been doing, your projects, your initiatives, what legacy do you hope to leave through your work? Like if there was a tombstone, what would you want to be put there?
And about that to create a legacy, because paradigm is always, it's a changing process. The paradigm, we actually contribute in a specific paradigm. But when paradigm changes, the new things comes, then this legacy actually does not work. Important thing is the contribution to the organization, contribution to the society, and contribution to the world. That's the impact concern. And in a particular paradigm. That's the development management pattern, actually. But if you think about the legacy, it's actually self-consciousness about the self-benefit. No, nobody. And the Maslow's need hierarchy theory, the 5 layers, the basic needs, then your social, then your safety needs, and then your recognition is the 4th level. And the one you mentioned is falls in the recognition. What about me? If I leave the organization, my legacy, domain, thinking about myself, my name, my nameplate, everything, opening a brace, opening an organization, nameplate is there, ceremonial. It's about self-recognition. And the next stage is spiritual, that we live certain time in the world. So actually contribution for the world thinking is much important. Like I mentioned here, the Sir Fazli Hassan Abed, founder of the BRAC International and BRAC Bangladesh, founder of, he did not have any account. He lived a very peaceful life and contributed for the vulnerable people in the downtrodden people in the world. And nobody can take bank balance with when he lived the world. And Ratan Tata, another entrepreneurial thinking. And he lived a very simple life. More than 50% of revenue he earned, he actually contributed for the social development.
Okay.
So that's not about me.
Okay.
Thinking
Yeah.
about the society and the world, for the new generation, making the world better for the new generation.
Set, pay it forward.
Yeah. So I will live. So the next generation, how they will find a better world, trying to contribute to my level.
Contribution to leave the better. There's a quote, famous quote, that leave the world a
Yes.
better place than you
Like for the next generation.
arrived there, and for the next generation. Yeah. So earlier you did mention Steve Jobs and being able to connect the dots, right? If you were to look back and have the power to talk to your 21-year-old self, what things would you have done differently, and what advice would you give your 21-year-old self?
21-year-old.
Yes. When you were
21, yeah. When I was 20 years old, I recall I was an university student.
But
Again,
what would you tell your 21-year-old self? Now,
yeah. Okay, so I putting myself in a situation thinking that for that generation, important thing I felt at this time also that friendship is more important than any other things. Friendship and
Friendship.
yes,
Okay.
friendship and learning for pleasure, not for I have to learn for results. It's a wrong approach. Learning for pleasure, and that actually benefit for the long run. Learning for pleasure and friendship value, commitment and friendship.
Friendship and commitment.
Yes.
Okay. The last question will be about a message you would like to give to people who look up to you for inspiration.
Okay, people definitely those who are younger people, because I used to teach in the business faculty, business school in university, and they're the young generation. The age gap between 19 to 26, the generation I teach. The inspirational, I think, that I became the professor at the age of 45. At the age of 45, becoming professor, it's exceptional because it is the highest rank of the academic area. For that reason, there are certain criteria you need to fulfill. There are faculty members who are 60, even they do not become yet to become the professor. So focusing on the criteria, particularly to achieve you set your goal and try to understand what's the criteria to achieve this goal. Focus on the criteria. So I met the criteria to become the professor. The criteria for the academic is simple, that your contribution in the journal articles, scholarly journal articles, and its impact of this write-up and scholarly contribution in the knowledge domain and knowledge transfer. The one I'm doing is part of knowledge transfer and sharing. Knowledge is transferring. So we do it in the classroom, knowledge transfer. We do through the seminar, symposium, and conference. And that's why I had two conferences here. One conference I attended, and another conference was scheduled at 5. Probably the conference started at 5. Probably if I have time, 7 p.m. I try to give a lecture speech there, conversation. So I met this criteria. I attended international conference. I built strong global network. I have a strong global network, and I contributed in the knowledge development. Harvard is great, Stanford is great because their professors contributed lots in the knowledge domain. So university professor, if he or she contributed to a certain extent, and that would value to the university, and that would also add value to your career. So criteria specific, setting goal and the criteria specific. That's would be the inspirational. Because if you do not meet the criteria in a party, you want to be a politician. But if you do not fulfill the criteria of the good politician, you cannot be a great politician. If you want to be a professor, you have to fulfill just teaching in the classroom, you spend 16 years, 24 years, you cannot be professor. You have to fulfill knowledge development, knowledge transfer, and be a friendly faculty.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Talukdar, for the inspiring and the candor in your sharing of your stories. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen, our episode 4 of season 2 of AIM Alumni Leadership Podcast Series. This is CJ Esena of MBM 1988.
And Paulo Balinas of MBA 2014.
And we'll see you again in our next episode. Thank you and have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you.